What is up, everybody? We're doing a tier list thing today. Isn't that right, Joker?
I want to go home.
Well, too bad. We get to talk about all of our favorite Genshin characters, and even ones that we don't like.
Okay.
Okie dokie. We might as well just go, like, starting on the top of the list.
Well, let's just get the obvious ones out of the way.
Continue on. We probably should give the criteria for where we're ranking them. So, it's our personal opinions on the characters, where we factor in their gameplay and their story, involvement in, like, the entirety story.
And meta.
Our personal opinions on them as well, of course. So, it's our opinions on those categories. So, take everything here with a grain of salt. And explain to us why we're wrong in the comments below.
And don't get butthurt if we don't like your favorite character, Scaramouche. Like, I hate, not even, a perspective.
Just their gameplay is so...
Her gameplay is too good to the fact that she's just broken.
Like, all of them are just kind of...
I'm just looking at the cast right now. Nahida. S.
That one's 100% for Missy Lou. She
No, 100%. Just those three Archons are 100% some of the best.
And then Venti should at least be A tier because he's the best CC.
Well, he's the best CC. Literally, he is just a human battery. So,
I mean, there are slight problems with him for melee opponents, but, he's still pretty good.
He's still good. He's not bad by any means necessary. He is still really good. Okay, now we can actually start the actual list and just go down the line.
Okay. Traveler.
Depends on which Traveler.
In general.
In general, I'd say C. The thing with Traveler is that Dendro made up for him so much.
The problem is there's no personality for it, and we're going to keep the Travelers in the same spot.
Well, yeah, because they're literally almost the same. Well, anyways, not going to get into that.
But they're kind of empty cups where you're supposed to put yourself in their perspective, and they leave it blank for that reason. But I kind of don't like that, aspect.
Well, they have their own personality to themselves. It's not really a self-insert. It's more like they are actual people in this world.
So they're just mutes?
Basically, yeah. Paimon does most of the talking, which... Why?
Albedo.
Suspedo. A.
I would agree with A.
Because the reason with Albedo is that... We gotta talk about this there. We originally thought he was dog water. We thought he was horrible.
In all honesty, he was not that good. But he got crazy buffed when he got his preferred sword that literally only works with him, and then an artifact set that breaks him.
His sub-damage potential is just amazing. He hits so hard.
The only reason that he probably is he's lower is because bosses tend to break his flower. And that they just stomp on it and he's gone.
Yeah.
So boss potential, he loses a lot of it. But
limited.
The Mono Geo team just works so well.
He is... God, Albedo is really good. If you don't have him, seriously, pull for him. He is an amazing sub-damage dealer.
I feel bad for Amber.
You
know what? Gameplay-wise, F tier. With story, D tier. Agreed?
Agreed. The thing with Amber is that I have nothing against her personality. It's fine. It's just her gameplay. Literally, her main damage dealing is her charge attacks. And that's the problem.
Her burst does nothing.
Her burst is literally just to apply pyro. Literally, that's it. It does nothing else.
I honestly feel bad for Amber players.
Oh no, I do feel bad for Amber players too, because they gotta over-invest in her just to
and then you have to get good at the game. They should have given her a bit more, where... with Lisa and, Kaya, you invest... I don't know where Kaya is, I just pointed in a random direction. But those two, scale if you invest into them. And you're like, okay, I can use them. They just don't start off very strong.
They don't.
But literally, fully investing into Amber doesn't give you anything.
It barely gives you anything. It is
hard to personality, you get a point, but everything else just is fighting against you.
It's really fun. Seriously, if there's any character in this game that needs a buff, it is Amber. Please just buff Amber. I literally don't care about any other character getting a buff.
I've got an argument for another charter, but...
Well, I also have an argument for another character getting a buff, but Amber is the biggest one, in my opinion, that just needs just a bigger buff.
Okay, Ayaka.
Okay, Ayaka is one of my main damage dealers, and she's been amazing for me. Like, every part of her kit is just fantastic. And
She works well, like, self-contained. Like, she doesn't need help from anyone specifically for her kit to work.
Yeah, she has been a absolute amazing in everything. The only thing that pisses me off about her is her dash. I hate the
having to dash into getting her perk to work.
Well, it's not even that. It's just the fact of, like, I'm not used to the going under then dashing up. When I have to dash to dodge, dashing characters are just so hard to get used to. I mean, I'm getting used to it slightly, but it still just bothers me.
But if that's the only drawback, is learning the gameplay is just hard because it's not like any of the other ones.
Well, and also, I will talk about her downsides, because not just her upside. The downside is her ultimate. If a boss so much as just sidesteps and her ult just goes away, that is the most frustrating thing you have ever seen. Just to see your ult standing there doing damage, but it's not hitting the target.
Yeah, but that's a lot of characters' bursts that don't move or stay with you. But I don't feel like that's... Because it still hits like a gosh dang truck.
Oh, it still hits pretty hard. I just don't... Like, everyone places her really... I just place her at A. She is really good, but I don't think her damage is really, like, Hu Tao, Ganyu, or Ball levels of damage. But her damage is still really high. I just don't think it's any better than those.
And then her character-wise, I thought it was really cool that it was supposed to be like a mysterious person helping you, but it was really obvious.
Well, Ayako was just the main helping you throughout the entire thing. The mysterious person that I thought was Ayato, but then we met him and he's both.
Well, the problem with the whole story thing is if you watched the trailer at the beginning of the game where they showed all of the heads of the nations. All in all, her story is great.
No, all in all, she's amazing. I've loved Ayaka ever since. She is definitely one of my favorites. That's why she is one of my favorites.
So, Barbara.
Okay, there's a lot of misconception about Barbara, and I just want to talk about this real quick.
Shoot.
And this might be a hot take. Well, to us it's typical, but to everyone else, this might be a hot take. I think Barbara is the best healer in the game.
For her versatility, yes. But for her one drawback, it just hurts.
It does.
So she gets you wet when you activate her skill.
And that's a problem if you're surrounded by ice.
But otherwise, she full heals your team with like 2 or 3 hits. At like just level 7 talents for her skill. You just get like... And then her burst is just a full team recovery. It's a panic button at all times.
Yeah, that you just... And not to mention the fact that literally 2 of her constellations, I think, are some of her best constellations. One of her constellations is she gets energy for just standing still.
Literally for exploration purposes, that is beautiful. Because guess what? I can just be like, oh shoot, I forgot to heal during battle. Full heal everyone. I don't have to go back into battle in order to force heal or to get everyone to heal up or to get particles.
And the fact that she is one of 2 characters in the game that has a revive.
I mean, I think the revives have their place, but for like general use, they're pretty good. Oops, I accidentally didn't pull out my glider in time.
Oh,
okay.
Thanks, Barbara.
Thanks, Barbara.
Literally, if you have your Barbara C6, Jesus, God, her healing is just insanely good. But the only problem is that's all she has.
I mean, the Bubble Pop set makes her...
the Bubble Pop makes it so she can deal some decent damage.
Just a little bit of extra support damage, because she doesn't need help healing.
No, absolutely not.
like other healers, like these ones need help healing. I feel like we die a lot more with Kokomi than we do with Barbara. So Barbara, I feel like we, as a like multiplayer purpose... It keeps the team alive a lot better.
She is just crazy. Barbara is definitely an underrated character.
She is actually really decent for most team comps, and especially for newer players. I'm so glad that she's free to early game players.
I am so glad she is free. She was my first, and she is still my basic literal healer that I still use to this day.
So, where do we want to put this Joker?
Okay, I'm gonna be honest, if we take a look at all of Barbara's kit, just Barbara's kit herself, nothing else, all she does is heal. That's it.
She also reduces stamina consumption.
She does, and she gives hydro damage bonus, which is very slight, but at the same time, this is all she has. So, I want to be...
I can't say any higher than A.
No, I was going to say like C.
Ew.
Like C or B. Just the fact that all she can do is heal. But with the right tome and basically the bubble pop set, she goes up to like B or A. Like, in my opinion, I think that's
I think we're going for the full experience of the character, so I would agree within this category. These two categories.
Let's go B. Let's go B then.
Just because dealing with anything cryo, especially early game where you don't have a good pyro character, or if you didn't happen to get like D-Luke or Bennett or anybody to help with cryo fights, she just sucks because guess what? When you normal attack and you're wet, you freeze.
Yeah.
So
there are some drawbacks to Barbara, but all in all, Barbara is still very good.
B for Barbara.
B for Barbara.
Okay, let's do it with another B character, Beidou.
In my opinion, by far, one of the best, like, starting 4 stars you could get.
I agree with that, and I actually think she's good later game, because she's one of the few characters who scales with your opponent.
And also the fact that her ult is pretty decent. People were talking about you struggled to get her ult, but with this new energy recharge set, that's no longer an issue.
The energy recharge set just screams Beidou.
Honestly, I think Beidou is insanely... I would say Beidou's an A.
I agree with that. Like her story-wise, she's just really powerful of a character. Fighting a literal god before your vision.
Before her vision, she fought one.
That's impressive.
That is very impressive.
Other characters have respect for Beidou for that feat.
Yeah, so Beidou gets mad respect for her gameplay and her kit. She is insanely good.
The only thing about it is her rotation's a little awkward, and she's only really great if there's a lot of enemies, too.
I mean, even still, she has her counter, which is just insane.
At Constellation, she gets a shield, which just helps a bit with not taking damage.
Yeah, but still, it helps.
Yeah.
So all in all, Beidou, hey. I am really sad. I love Chung Yun to death. He's a great character. I love his personality. He's so good. But gosh dang it, his kit sucks.
No, his kit doesn't suck. It's that the fact that his kit does not work with any of the other cast members. Why?
The only other character that I could kind of work with is
Shenhe, really.
Shenhe, D-Luke if he wants to swap up between Cryo and Pyro, but the problem is when you turn on his ult, it's just all Pyro. So
like the attack speed buff is nice, the skill cooldown reduction is nice. Like all of these things that Chungyun gives is a lot of times exclusive to him.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is nobody uses it.
Nobody does. No one here yet.
Yet.
Someday.
I want to believe that someday Chungyun will actually be a good rotation character to support somebody. But right now, there's nobody. Fine, we'll put them there. Just because of the story and, like, I really like him.
Yeah, Chungyun is great.
So you want to bring up your man D-Luke?
I'll talk about D-Luke. D-Luke, so keep in mind I've fully invested in my D-Luke. He's triple crowned. He has the Wolf's Gravestone. I've almost mid-maxed all his artifacts. To me, he's worked perfectly. Literally, everywhere I take him, he will shred enemies no matter what I throw him against.
He's a very good, like, early game 5-star.
He is insanely good, and I loved using him way more than Kaching. But, seriously, D-Luke, if you invest in D-Luke early game, you won't regret it, because his damage is pretty decent at early game. It just
falls off.
When you get another damage dealer like Zhao, Ito, Hu Tao, if you get any of these other damage dealers, he just falls off. Because these guys just deal astronomical amounts of damage higher than
they
him.
have just great multipliers, but D-Luke, he does his job. He gets you through early game. And he gets you to, like, the later parts of the Abyss.
He really does.
The problem is he needs some help
with that because he doesn't have multipliers like the rest of them do.
And with that, do we want to put him, like, B tier?
No, B. He deserves B, like at least. He just falls off late game, and that's the problem.
It's sad because his personality, I honestly think it's really good. At least better than Kaya. Boom!
Wow. Dang.
Hot take.
Hot take. You think D-Luke is better than Kaya? All in all, I think D-Luke is a solid damage dealer. I've still used him to this day. If you would like to, go ahead and use D-Luke. But if you don't want to, that's fine.
I think he's good, but he's kind of the work up to a proper damage dealer. And I think that's his position. And I think he does it really well, too.
He does do it
And he's
well.
pretty fun to play as well.
I think he's fun to play.
The 3 skills, the burst that infuses his weapon, that's like super cool.
The downsides is that his burst is huge, and I say his burst is crowd control, because literally when I pop his burst, that whole mob is dead. The problem is when you do use that, it pushes them all away to the point that you gotta go chase them if they're not dead.
True.
So I can say that there are definite downsides to D-Luke. Oh god.
Bold statement.
Wow.
The problem is, for her to be decent, you have to fully invest in her. Her shield is okay at full investment, and that's the problem. Because Zhongli, you do not need to invest into him very much at all for him to just shoot her out of the water completely.
Yeah, that's the really upsetting part. Where her gimmick is shield using, which, okay, that's fine. And then her ult is a field healing, which at C6 is really nice, but that's at Constellation 6, which is a little bit hard to get later game. Well, not later game, but later if you haven't played like earlier than we did.
But she also requires enemies in order to pop her shield. So if you're doing environmental damage or trying to do some gimmick, she doesn't work with what you're trying to do. Or there's a chance of you just whiffing. Because I've actually had it where my shields whiff the enemy, and I'm just like, well, now what? Like, I happened to kill the enemy right when I shot the thing at, and I'm like, I didn't get my shield. So I've only had problems with Diana. I mean, she scales with HP, which is nice, but the multiplier on it is just not great.
Yeah.
And her personality, or her goal,
is to stop all the drunkards in Mondstadt and completely destroy
by
them
making the best drinks in the world.
Worst drinks in the world.
Well, she doesn't have the ability to do that.
Well, she can't because she was blessed by a fairy from her father, and now she can never make a bad drink. Literally anything she makes is immediately amazing. I got no beef with her. She's perfectly fine in my book. Her kit is below average because, all in all, she's just a small, angry cat girl.
Not really our cups of tea.
Honestly, I'd say D or F.
I want her an F because it's just... I've attempted to use her, and the problem is I've struggled so much to try to use her that it just upset me when I just did not get any results. Kizna ended up showing me with his how far it goes, and I'm like, that's not that impressive.
Especially with the HP bow that he gave her, which adds an extra oomph, but what did that accomplish? It saved you a good, like...
That, and there's no real good artifact set for her.
There's not. There's a lot of artifact sets that aren't good for characters. Anyways, agree, Diona F?
Yep.
Alright, now let's move to probably one of the best characters in the game.
With an asterisk.
Asterisk for Constellations, but...
Constellation 6...
Literally, she is amazing. Fischl.
Fischl is great at C6. But I yet to have her there, and I think Beidou does a better job not at C6.
If Fischl's at C6, Fischl is amazing.
Yeah.
Before that, Fischl's okay.
Like for me, Fischl's like B, C tier, but at C6 I can see B or A tier, kind of.
I could say B. But
Yeah.
the thing is that, like, dude, God, I've never seen Fischl this low before. That's rare for Fischl to be that low.
Well, the thing about it is, at C6, she is like S tier.
Oh yeah, at C6 she is
just for damage-wise. But I also really like her personality, and like the Golden Apple Archipelago just kind of...
Well, she had multiple things of her personality which were great.
That and Oz is just really funny.
Nice
Their dynamic is funny.
Yeah.
Because of her constellations locking her ability to basically do her job better than Beidou, or Beidou and those two are interchangeable after she reaches C6.
Yeah.
But do you want to put her in an A, or do you
I kind of want to
keep...
put her at A, because I think Fischl is insanely good, but that's because mine's C6.
But
so I can't really say anything because I've never... I've seen her before because I had C4 a while ago, And she worked fine. It's just at C6, she just became a monster.
Yeah, I can see that being a monster with, like, Ayato or any, like, fast-striking characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think she just works well with a lot of hydro damage dealers, like Tartaglia, or even, like, having Xingqiu with her, because she just synergizes well with an Electro application. And when I mean her, I mean Oz.
Yeah, Oz is the real champion here. Okay, you want to talk about Ganyu. So go ahead and talk about Ganyu.
Gameplay-wise, S tier. Maybe even higher than that. But personality-wise, like... like she's just a workaholic, and I feel like that's just boring. Like, she doesn't have much going for her. For, like, personality-wise, like, oh, I just do my job. Oh, I don't know if I'm fully human or, like, Adeptus, so I'm not sure, but it's just kind of, personality never really connected with me, and her gameplay, for me, is boring.
So,
but she hits like a gosh dang truck, and she's...
So the thing is, I 100% agree with you in all aspects of form, but the problem is, if that's the case, then we need to put Ball lower.
That's kind of why I was...
Ball needs to go lower, or Ganyu needs to go higher.
That's why I was not wanting to put Ball up either, because I wanted Ball to... I had the same quarrel, where gameplay-wise, these two are amazing. Personality-wise, there's a lot to be desired, at least for us.
Yeah, so...
I feel like having them both in A tier, just for the fact of their personalities not really being our cup of tea, and I feel like having both of them there for the same reason. So, we good?
I think we're good with that. I think I agree that Ball and Ganyu literally are probably two of the strongest damage dealers in the game, but...
This is not the
this
damage
is not like
tier
a
list.
Meta for damage. This is more of a meta for just either how we like them and
our full experience with these characters, because we've been playing since almost the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
So, just, like, a lot of these characters I've had for,
long time.
2 years. Our opinions have kind of grown on these characters.
Indeed.
Are you ready to go with this one?
Okay. This is a hot take. I don't like Jean. I'm going to say that right now. I do not like Jean. I'm sorry to all you Jean likers. I do not like her. Her kit is boring. Her ultimate is literally in my opinion, a slightly better version of Barbara's. But all in all, what else does she do? She literally uses her skill, leaves. Or uses skill, pops ult, leaves. And then there's a chance that she'll attack and she'll heal your team, but it's a 50% chance. So there is also a flip of the coin chance that she just may never heal me.
I agree with a lot of it. There is some tools that she exclusively holds. Attack speed bonus is really nice, and building an Animo team with her as the healer is really nice, mainly because there's no other option. There is no other option. There are tools that she has that not a lot of characters have. She's got a few, like, one of the few pushes in the game, which is niche. Take that, but it is unique, where not a lot of people have that kind of ability.
And her personality, out of all the workaholics of every region, I do not like her. Like, out of the 3 from every region, like, she is just the one I just do not like. Because Ganyu enjoys her job, so that's fine. Kokomi, spoiler, Kokomi works herself almost near to exhaustion, and you feel bad for her. Jean is... like, there's nothing I feel bad for about Jean. She just does it because she just wants to. I don't even know if she enjoys it.
I feel that she does have utility that a lot of other characters don't have, so that's kind of where I'm arguing. So I want to say D.
I was going to put D or C. Either one I'd be okay with.
Okay. Because the thing about it is, there are team comps where she is actually the best slot in there. Mm-hmm. And she has a unique reaction with Bennett as well for that sun flare thing. Basically, if you use Bennett's burst and her burst, you will swirl the fire off of yourself and do AoE fire damage or swirl damage to nearby enemies from your position, which is interesting. And also, she purifies elements off of you. She's the only one who does that.
I will give her that. She does that.
She does have a purifying effect, but I agree, D.
But I'm really sorry on all the Eugene fans. I do not like Jean, and I probably never will. The only reason I'll ever use Jean is because she's Seed Dude and she just makes Ayato faster. Kaya now.
Mm-hmm.
The best free character you could ever have.
Literally, out of the original 4, he is the best.
He is the best. There is no competition. Everything about him, his elemental skill is just a little, which basically is for...
It's just a quick swap on cryo application.
And also it makes a bridge.
Yeah, he's one of the few characters who actually ice bridges. That's why it's called the Kaya Ice Bridge.
And the fact that his ult is just rotating ice things that apply cryo and do damage. And the fact that he levels up energy recharge. Which just means, hey, I get my ult faster.
We know what you're going for him. Like, his kit just works well. Like, I mean, he doesn't scale beautifully, but as a cryo applicator, he is really good at his job. Like, I would say at minimum, B.
Oh, 100%. I agree. He's on the same as his brother.
That's sad.
That's really sad.
I mean, I personally don't care for his opinion. Like, the mischievous kind is not really my thing. But I can definitely get behind him. His utility is there. Just by that alone is B tier.
So all in all, Kaya's kind of done. All right, Kaya good. Oh boy. Okay, I think you have more to talk about her than I do, in all honesty.
So, the thing about Keqing for me is that a lot of characters have this risk and reward to them, or a learning curve for how to play the character. And the better you play the character, the more damage you should do. Yes? Agreed? Okay. So, why does with Keqing, you don't get that? Her kit just does not scale the better you play her. Like, I could play her bad or good and almost do the same amount of damage. And I feel like that's dumb. And she's hard to play to begin with. Like, D-Luke, you can be like, he's pretty straightforward. And you get, like, the reward from him playing straightforward. Hers, you play it, like, extremely awkwardly, and you don't get anything better out of it. That and Electric just doesn't react well as the main damage dealer.
Ball exception.
Ball exception because Ball is just broken.
Also, case in point to what you were saying. I agree with a lot of what you were saying, but there's one part that you said she's hard to play, and typically when a character is hard to play, that's a standpoint. If a character is hard to play, that should mean that their damage should be higher if you play them properly.
Like
correct?
Zhao or Hu Tao or...
Like a character that it is hard to play this character. But the thing is that if you play this character properly, this character will skyrocket for damage.
Yeah.
But Keqing, there is no proper way to play her.
The curve to getting more damage out of her is just so low.
There is like 3-4 different builds for Keqing that you could use, and all of them are basically the same, just some being either more difficult than others or some being just more redundant. Like elemental burst damage Keqing, electro build Keqing, or physical damage Keqing.
Her kit doesn't really work with her either. Her exploration thing is also pretty niche.
I mean, it's a nice idea. It's just for a quote-unquote damage dealer, for a frontline damage dealer, I should add.
Yeah, almost.
Someone that is basically on the field for a majority of the time.
A selfish damage dealer where she wants to be on the field as long as possible. You don't really get the reward for doing that.
You don't. Also, the fact that out of all of the electric characters, her ult is 40. 40 energy. Yet a majority of the electric characters' ults are like 60 or above.
So the electro resonance is useless on her.
It is. It's useless. You don't need energy with Keqing because she just gets her ult immediately.
And then she's also got the highest charge attack stamina consumption for a sword character. And that's one of her better tools.
That is one of her charge attacks. Guess what? There's no like charge attack set for swordsmen that's here yet.
And that's kind of sad because there's just currently nothing to support Keqing. Or not much. Not nothing, but not much to support.
Yeah, I'd say like D or C for her.
I'm saying D. I personally say F, but for the benefit of the doubt that she actually does deal damage.
She does deal damage. I've seen Kizna's Keqing. It deals okay damage, but I looked at that and I'm like, Dude, you could just use your ball and do the exact same thing. Heck, I even think his damage-built Beidou will deal more damage.
That is pretty sad. That I think you're
That
right.
Beidou will deal more damage than Kaching.
Where the 4-star version versus a 5-star, the 4-star does better. These two do better than her.
These two, that's really upsetting that those two will do better than her. Well, let's get this out of the bag. Okay, so I'm gonna state this. I've stated this to Missy a lot. I love Klee's personality. She is
like personality-wise, like A tier.
Klee is adorable. She is cute. I love everything about her. But God forbid, I hate her attacks. Her attacks are so slow.
I wish there was a way to speed her charge attack up a bit. Like, that needs to be buffed just a tad. Just make it a little bit quicker. Or make it so that you can move right after you use it, so that way you can reposition yourself. Because the problem is you leave yourself vulnerable. And she already is a squishy character to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to run her with a shielder of some kind, and...
Yeah, so all in all, I love Klee's personality. Her gameplay just falls off for me, personally. Like, B or A is where I would see her.
I can agree with, like, B. As a main damage dealer, I feel that she is not great, but she actually doubles as a support for, like, Sucrose.
Mm-hmm.
Because swirling the bombs is actually very effective.
Yes, Klee and Sucrose are literally a match made in heaven.
They team up so well because, I mean, even like Kazuha can do the same, but I think Sucrose is the best partner for Klee.
Well, Sucrose goes in front of her where Klee literally throws her bombs, so literally it's just bomb. Swirl.
Well, that and her burst also draws in, but
yeah, but
we'll get into
either way.
Sucrose later.
Yeah.
But I feel that as a support, it works.
Klee is just still a lot to be desired, but Klee is still a solid user. Like, I will not put anything if they use Klee. Klee is still very good.
Like, and the thing about it is she's got the highest interruption for any character.
That she does.
Like, she can stagger large opponents with her charge attack. And that is impressive.
That is very impressive.
Where you can launch enemies into Venti's black hole. And that is funny to see. A giant hilly troll or one of those electric, like, meta troll or something like that.
Yeah.
Where they also get knocked if their shield's broken. And I honestly think that's funny.
That is funny.
Like, comedic value to Klee.
Okay, I just want to get this one next one out there. C. The reason I say C is because her scaling so I originally thought that Lisa was a horrible character, which I still think, but I think she's better than Amber. She's not better than Kaya, but she is just right in the middle. But the thing is that her elemental skill at like level 4 scales to like 600% if you have 3 of those stacks that she applies. It does so much damage.
That, and it doesn't have a ceiling. So
exactly.
It has no vertical limit.
As high as you want.
Which I think, because if you invest into her, she's actually does good. The problem is, when you first get her, she's terrible. So, like, new players will get her, try her out, realize that she is bad, and then bench her. And not give her the benefit of the doubt and build her. Most of the time.
A majority of the time.
But I feel that she can be invested into, and she does do good for her job. Like, electro application, her burst is pretty good. Physical resistance shred is also really nice. Like, she has a lot of tools.
So, all in all, I think she's pretty solid. I don't think she's like one of the best ever, but I still think she's pretty good.
I can follow you with C. But her personality-wise, I don't care for the
mob character.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It's kind of creepy. Like, I personally don't like. I'm like cringe almost whenever she talks to me, kind of thing. So C is a perfect place for her. Speaking about okay.
Oh God.
Can we talk about Mona?
We can talk about Mona. I hate to say this. Mona's only purpose is her ult.
Realistically, yeah.
It is only her ult. Her elemental skill is a lure that sometimes works, and sometimes it's just mostly there just to be a different jellyfish.
I think that that's something to bring up is that lures are just terrible CC options, and that's also a good reason why Amber's in D tier.
And
Is that it still does its job a bit, but they really need to rework lures.
The thing is, though, is that her ult is just really good for a damage bonus. Like, if you need something to deal damage, Mona's ult will help you deal that damage, as long as you invest in her ult having that bonus there.
That, and she's a decent hydro applicator where she's always applying normal or hydro with her normal attack. I feel that her normal attack is just kind of there, but realistically you're not using it.
You're really not. I mean, you can if you really want to build her for that, but to each their own. But again, Mona is still, in my opinion,
I feel she's a one-trick pony, and I think that's why a lot of people bench her. And that's what I've seen when I looked at, like, accounts with Joker over here, is that we always look and we're like, yep, Mona benched.
Mona is just benched. Honestly, I'd say C.
That's where I was thinking, where she has a very niche use, which is very good. But that's the problem, is it's only that niche use.
It's only to really pop her burst, and other than that, there's really nothing else.
Her personality, I honestly liked. It's funny. The poor life choices.
Fake poor. She's just poor. She has poor money. Bad money management.
Yeah, money management is not with her. So, yeah.
See, I agree. Oh boy. Klee with rocks.
I feel that she scales well. The problem is, I honestly don't... I didn't care for Ning Wong.
She was fine with me. Doing her hangout, I was a little more okay with her. But, again, it's just the slow catalyst users that just...
The problem is the game promotes fast attacks. Mm-hmm. And so there's no real points for survivability options. And the problem is the slow acting, like, precision characters just are not worth it.
All in all, I'd put Ningguang at D or C.
I was thinking more of C because of her personality and importance to the story.
Okay, we can put her at C.
Because I feel like she had a huge role in the Archon quest, and then
in the Archon quest.
Basically everything revolves around Ning Wong, basically, in Liyue. And that's probably why she was one of the leaders in that trailer.
Yeah.
But it makes sense.
All in all, Ning Wong's fine, but...
I feel like one of her main purposes was just to have a Geo-construct with Zhongli.
Yeah.
Like, them in, like, Geo Traveler were just there to give Zhongli some more resonance.
Like, resonance to resonate his pillar. Noelle got a huge... Okay.
So, before Deep Set, like, D or F tier. Like, to be completely honest.
Oh, yeah. And also, I didn't care much for her personality. After the Deep Set, and after getting to learn her a bit more, I would say, like, C or B.
Like, I agree, because... she is the second strongest shield in the game. Yeah, and that is something amazing.
Her shield is pretty decent. If you invest in her shield, holy crap, her shield will last.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing compared
to the man himself.
But we're, as the second best shielder in the game, like, it used to be, like, Toma, but Toma just kind of fell off, and Noelle just, with that Deep Set, just
skyrocketed.
Like, she's a jack of all trades, master of none. And I felt that was her whole gimmick, but giving her that Deep Set and, in all honesty, that good Claymore for the craftable one, just made her so that she could actually be decent at all categories. And that's something impressive where you can fill whatever slot you need with her.
Oh, yeah.
Personally, I don't really use her utility because I don't really need to, but... she is still an option there for me. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I like is seeing a character's utility options, where she covers a lot of things. So I agree with B.
B, yeah, that's solid for Noelle. Solid.
Chi-Chi.
Oh boy.
I honestly believe melee healers are terrible.
Yeah.
Especially if they need to hit. So, like, Shinobu is, like... different because she doesn't need to hit. It's just continuously passive. But Chi-Chi's is like you need to hit in order for you to get that passive. It's basically a better yet worse version of Barbara. So better in the regard of like
not freezing you to death.
Not freezing you to death. Cryo's a pretty good element for reaction purposes, and just generally good. But bad as in, like, she doesn't have that same panic button. She doesn't have the team healing that everyone does. Mm-hmm. She scales with HP, which sucks because there's not a lot of character, or it's hard to
she scales with attack.
Oh, she scales with attack, excuse me. Even worse.
I was like, what are you talking about? Scaling with HP is probably the best thing in the game.
Yeah, you're right. And that is just terrible for a healer because, I mean, it's not the worst thing. You could scale with Deef and be Pyro.
We'll talk about her later.
But
Chi-Chi, where would you want to put Chi?
I honestly, the good things about her is that her talisman that she applies to, the status that she applies to opponents is really nice. If only it healed the party.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times my main damage dealer is full HP, but due to like corrosion or a bad rotation on my part,
one of the supports is almost dead.
Yeah, so I have to stop, play as Chi-Chi for a bit to heal up everyone. I don't think she's bad. I just don't think she's quite good enough.
Yeah. So, all in all,
like C or D for me.
I was gonna put D. Reason is because I do not care for Chi-Chi's personality.
Her personality is it's bland, but she's a zombie, so yeah.
Yeah.
I wish there was a little more to her personality.